lineup, because it feels like if they manage to take down RNG here today, coming off the back of the win against FPX, JDG, a lot of those top teams are already underneath their belts, and that is an insane thing to look at, especially come playoffs, come the opportunity at Worlds. This could be LNG really cementing themselves as one of the top teams in LPL if they can beat RNG here today, but it's no easy task. Coming in though, already, that Lee Sin takeaway will more than likely be going to Ale. I really like this though. Xiaohu has shown he is one of the best Lee Sins that we have, hard carrying a lot of those fights against OMG. Even when we look at him in MSI, he was the main factor in a lot of those comeback performances against Damwon, so I'm glad that LNG are taking that out of his hands.
And the Sett locked in as well, very likely going towards Cryin in the mid lane, which I think it's pretty common knowledge, right, that Cryin is not going to be the kind of mid laner that's going to dominate the 1v1 and take over the game. So putting him on something like the Sett, where he can much more be a facilitator for the rest of the team, set up for the equalizers that will come from Wei, definitely a good decision here from RNG. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see them lock in, or as the Jinx Thresh is immediately locked here by Light and Lwandy, something like the Varus could be a perfect way to round out the first rotation for RNG.
Yeah, definitely a huge amount of lockup, a lot of CC, or a lot of long range damage that can come through between like an equalizer, and then you've also got the poke from the Varus. But looks like we could be looking at the Gwen for Xiaohu in that top lane, which gonna be a very good pickup. I feel like Xiaohu, someone who's like mechanically very strong, very good at understanding like how much damage he can dish out. Gwen would suit him perfectly, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do. But it does mean that a lot of those AD carries are still going to be have the opportunity here, for LNG to take them off the board. So I think things like the Ezreal can be taken away, things like the Varus could be gone, whereas RNG, they're targeting at the jungle pool for Tarzan. And I think I like this Xin Zhao pick, because if I'm looking at LNG, a Lulu Xin Zhao would go amazing. Icon's already played the Lulu in the mid. We just saw how good this Lulu can work with Jinx and that Xin Zhao for the mid lane 2v2. So you can already see RNG want to make sure they're not getting any of these big picks.
Yeah, banned away. The Varus taken off the board as well. So my dreams of the Rumble Varus combo are shattered before my eyes. And I wouldn't be surprised to see more bans focused towards that AD carry position for Gala. Maybe even a Kai'Sa ban. Because look at this comp. There's a lot of dive right there. Gala's pretty good at Kai'Sa. I don't know if anyone noticed that during MSI. He likes Kai'Sa quite a lot. Damwon certainly didn't seem to notice. Wukong getting banned away, though, by RNG.
Yeah, I mean, you can ban away the Kai'Sa, you can ban away the Ezreal here. It is going to be the Kai'Sa, which means we're probably going to see him go back towards the Ezreal. But I'm actually curious, because we've never seen RNG go for the Senna pick. And I actually think Senna would work super well with the composition that they have. You get that late game scaling, you can farm reasonably well, but we're getting Lulu Kog'maw. So forget everything that I said. We're going to get the Lulu Kog'maw in the bottom lane.
This is where LNG go crazy and bring out the Kog'Maw mid to deny it. I'm ready, Icon. Take me on a journey. I've got a feeling that's probably not going to happen, Dagda. What do you prescribe here? What do you lock in when you know what this composition is going to look like for RNG?
Yeah, I think you kind of need to start looking at things that can do a bit of a frontline job. So maybe even something like a Sylas wouldn't be the end of the world here for Icon. We're going to get the Diana here for Tarzan. Okay, one of my favorite combos on the current patch is Yasuo Diana. I don't think we're going to get it, but I love this combination so much, because you get a whole heap of burst damage. The CC chain is absolutely insane, and especially for setting up for someone like Jinx, where you can potentially just have her deal a whole bunch of damage over the top, get her excited, she can then hard carry the game. But I don't think we're going to get it. It looks like we're actually going to go back towards Icon, going towards the Lucian, so more standard mid lane pick, which you've now got a lot of damage that can do very well in this mid lane, especially the Lucian is very favored in that matchup over the Sett. He can do really well in pushing in that wave and making life quite difficult for Cryin.
So we do get to see Gala on this Kog'Maw. We've got the Sett in the mid lane that's going to be going up against a Lucian, which, you know, bit of a lane puller. You've got the AP jungler there as well, so it's a nice little combo. Tarzan with a massive amount of carry potential. In fact, looking across the roster for LNG, there is a massive amount of damage that can come out from this comp in those fights. But it does feel like this setup is a bit better for the fights for RNG, with that Sett being someone that can get in there, get yourself a hard engage with the showstopper facebreaker onto everyone. We've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, if you're looking at LNG, they're pretty reliant on Tarzan being that main engage tool. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Mythic straight into the Zhonya's, just to make sure that you're able to have that survivability when you do go in. it does mean you're going to struggle to get on towards Kog'Maw on the back line. So this is going to become a battle between both the Jinx and the Kog'Maw to see who can try and carry these team fights harder. But I think with the kind of the bruiser setup and the tankier front line, it'll probably be a little bit easier for the Kog'Maw just to stay safe and have this better front to back style of team fight. But we'll have to see as we start to get into this game. But either way, like, these are two super hype compositions that we're going to see a lot of fighting through, a lot of early skirmishes, and really seeing if LNG can once again take it to some of the top teams in the LPL.
We'll see if LNG can maintain that lossless streak, maintain their position at the top of the standings. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that they're right now tied with EDG. If LNG wins this series, they will have sole possession of first place once more until EDG play their 5th series and have another opportunity to contest. But RNG on the chopping block, it's certainly no slouch of an opponent. An MSI champion, that seems like a reasonable challenge for our undefeated team in the LPL. But RNG with a very rough entry into the summer split, losing out 2-1 to OMG. Does feel like RNG have a good amount to work on coming in.
Yeah, I think for RNG though, I kind of like their top half of the map here. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and play pretty heavily through Xiaohu in this top lane. Like, your early skirmishes between the mid jungle for Wei and Cryin are really strong. You can also try and, if you can unlock Cryin from this mid lane, try and move him up towards the top side. But certainly there's opportunities here for RNG to try and find these early skirmishes, say, towards Rift Herald. Whereas when you look at LNG, they kind of need to wait for the level 6 to come online from Tarzan. There's not a huge amount of, opportunities to try and have CC in this top half of the map. So for RNG in these early stages, I'm looking to see if they can try and power through just this top strong 3v3.
I'm loving seeing the change that we've seen with these rumbles, where they're starting with the chickens instead of spamming the W from the base and going for the buff as your start. Instead, going with the flame spitter, starting chickens, get your W second, and then overheat for the buff. Or in fact, we're actually seeing Wei going for the Krugs is the second camp. It feels like the longer we see rumble in the meta, the more these junglers adapt and figure out optimal ways to play.
It's also just depending on the champion you're against, right? So in this setup, Diana is going to be looking for a full clear. She wants, as we talked about, hit that level 6. You're not going to see a huge amount of early ganks. So for Wei, he's just going to match that full clear and then maybe look towards that bottom side scuttle. But as you can see, Gala and Ming getting pushed in, so Cryin will be as well. So he's going to have to try and figure out where exactly he wants to go to have that scuttle. And it looks like the best way to do that, skip red, go bot side, and have that red into scuttle on the top end.
All right, bit of a weird path from Wei, but we'll see how it works out. Xiaohu and Ally 1v1ing in the top side right now, and Xiaohu getting the best of it on that Gwen. Ally struggling a bit here because the wave is stacked up. It's actually going to push towards Xiaohu, who already has more CS. This top lane is already starting to look a little bit dicey for LNG as Ally just desperately trying to do what he can. But Xiaohu is actually, he's still going to crash this wave. He's not going to let that push towards him. He is going to just push that towards the tower instead.
Yeah, it looks like Ally actually going to reset because he's not sure where Wei is. So Ally a little bit worried that maybe they're looking for a dive on top side. But the top lane matchup early goes so heavy. Oh, hang on.
Good hook from Lwandy. Gala going to be forced underneath his tower. Will be okay. Gets the shield out from Ming, but that is going to be a heal and an exhaust burnt in favor of just that one ignite. Definitely a nice little trade for LNG. We keep talking about this bot lane duo. They continue to perform.
And now you've got Tarzan down here as well. This is a bit dicey here for RNG.
TP comes in, hook is going to land onto Ming. Tarzan is there, double buff in hand. Xiaohu jumps in, but Lwandy flays him back. Tarzan's the one in trouble, flashes over the wall. Ignite ticking away. Is there going to be a shield? Is there going to be one more tick? Flashed over from Ming to grab himself double buff as a support. That's the kind of opportunity you're going to take right there.
Yeah, and you can see Icon forced out of mid lane as well. So when you have all this pressure down towards bot side, it does open up Ally on the top lane. He'll get a push in, set Xiaohu behind, and unfortunately with Xiaohu not being the one getting the kill and not actually being able to absorb a lot of that pressure on the bot side, Xiaohu's been set behind in his top lane, whereas Ming will have a little bit of extra go to try and help out this Kog'Maw on the bottom lane. So overall, well, LNG unfortunate that it went down, but I don't think it's the end of the world in the grand scheme of things.
No, it does mean that that lead we were talking about for Xiaohu up on the top side is now going to be neutralized. But that's the that's the cost, right? That's what Xiaohu is committing. He managed to force the TP out from Ale, has the TP advantage, and chooses to use that advantage, transfer that top lane advantage into the bottom side of the map. And that shows a selfless player, right? That shows a style of play. Ming gonna be hooked in the bottom side by Lwandy as Tarzan is here, and that'll be an easy finish off. Tarzan says, you know what, mate? Them's my double buffs. Give me them back.
You know, this is actually something that I wanted to see out of LNG last split, and I didn't feel we got enough of, which was Tarzan playing down towards this bottom lane. Like Lwandy have been so good at snowballing their advantages, it feels like LNG just really understand, like, hey, look, if we get a lead on our AD carry, we know how to rotate around the map. We know how to play through a strong bot lane. And I'm glad that we're starting to see it in this game again where, I mean, look at the CS difference. There's a 20 CS lead for Light. We've got that kill going the way of LNG now as well. Like, it's a bit of disaster in the bottom side for RNG, and although Xiaohu is starting to even up that top side of the map, the gold lead's still very slimly in favour of LNG.
Very slimly, but it is basically an even game at this point. As Drake is onto the map, and I'm curious what you reckon, Dagda, with how turbulent this bottom lane has been. Who's going to be the team with... forget Drake's, actually. Tarzan's ganking the top side. Tarzan is just permanently active right now. Xiaohu, level 6, but so is Ale. Just hit it there. Kick flash comes on through. And Xiaohu, he knows he's done for in this one. Ale grabs the kill. A beautiful gank from Tarzan.
Great play from Ale as well. Just understanding, hey, look, I can ward hop here. I'll get that dash out, and then I can actually look for the follow-up. Now, wait, trying to respond to mid.
Does manage to pull it off, pulls Icon back in, and Wei is there to burn him to a crisp. 20 CS lead down the drain.
I looked a little bit funky, but does end up working out. Now RNG trying to see if they can play through this top side. No Rift Herald available for them, so just got to take the scuttle, but nice job at least from Wei to answer back. And although we've seen what I expected was Tarzan trying to hard push this level 6. Ooh, I want... Hang on, no, we're okay. But Tarzan trying to hard force this level 6, farm his way through the jungle. It's actually been Wei who's been going for this more farm-orientated style, and the fact that now he's actually managed to answer back for a kill, get something in RNG's favour, means that, again, they're at least staying active on the map for RNG and not letting LNG run away with the game.
Yeah, dead even so far, 2-2. Gold almost exactly even as well as RNG push towards the bottom side. Lwandy actually gonna face check that brush. He didn't realize Wei was laying in wait, and that's an easy kill for Gala. Kill onto the Kog'Maw is pretty much best case scenario for RNG, and with the Drake up, you feel like they could probably just run towards that, but Wei might want control of the map more than a Drake.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I know that you've already got the kill bot, maybe you can go for it, but Icon does have a lot of control mid. Cryin trying to absorb that wave, Icon just shoved in. Bot side, it was the support, not so much the AD carry that went down, so still a lot of pressure and a lot of damage on this bottom half of the map for LNG, so RNG not wanting to fully commit. May have to look for one or two more plays there before they decide to go for it, or even for a couple of these TPs to be up from the solo laners. But LNG, on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go towards this relatively soon. Icon can hard shove in this mid lane, they can move Light across now, and actually try to go for this, especially with the item advantage that they currently have on the Jinx.
Tarzan moves over towards his blue buff, and this is one of those junglers that probably does want to go for his own blue buffs earlier on in the game. Diana can be pretty mana hungry. Let's talk about the game plan here for the two junglers, because it does feel like we've got a very dramatically different jungle matchup to our first series of the day, right? Where both of these guys have been incredibly active. Incredibly active around the map. What are you anticipating to see from them across the rest of this one? Because it does feel like it's just been ganks galore.
Well, I think we're going to have a skirmish here on the top side. Tarzan starting up this Rift Herald. LNG now still in a position to try to force this mid lane in, so Cryin has to stay there. Oh, this culling damage will force Cryin back, but I don't think it's enough to try and stop them.
Equalizer onto Light, but Lantern will pull him out to safety. The Flame Chompers and the hook go slightly wide. With the eye taken, though, LNG will grab a Herald, and RNG not going to commit to going for the fight here. They decided basically they got there a little bit too late. Maybe it would have been better to just leave Gala on the bot side.
Yeah, I kind of would have preferred to see them do that anyway. Like, as we already talked about, like, they have a very strong three champions on the top side between the Gwen, Rumble, and the Sett. I think leaving Gala and Ming to just try and trade onto turrets would have been better. and see if even you can force something like a 3v3 or a 4v4 on the top side while Gala and Light continue to farm bot. It would have worked out a little bit easier, but unfortunately not going to be the case. Now, LNG, I want to see them try and use this Rift Herald either into the mid lane or into the top side. I feel like trying to set behind these solo laners is going to make things a hell of a lot easier, especially for the likes of Xiaohu. If you're keeping him in check, it's going to make the game a lot easier for LNG.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll find an opportunity to drop it in the mid lane specifically, just because the nature of the mid lane, right? It is often hard to find those windows. But with the CS lead that Icon already has, 30 CS individually ahead, he's about to finish a cull as well. If you could get him a couple of plates off of a Herald, Icon would be spiking into the mid game unbelievably hard. That's the kind of thing where Icon would be put in a position to take over the game.
Yeah, and you can see the difference for like the Sett into these Lucian matchups. He just doesn't have the control that he does against the AP matchups. You end up with a much more consistent damage, which can whittle down the Sett more versus like, say, something like an Orianna or a Syndra or, I mean, even a Zoe, who ends up chunking a whole bunch of that damage into a shield, and then Sett just regens it off the passive, and you're exerting so much mana, you're not really getting the consistent or even the burst damage to really take down the Sett, so he works out totally fine, whereas against something like a Lucian, you can see just a solid mid lead for Icon, and Cryin can't really do much about it.
It's kind of mental when you look at the mid lane gold numbers as well. Icon's 1,000 gold up individually right now, which I'm a bit surprised by. The cull did pop, but
yeah.
It still feels like a huge advantage, right? Over 30 CS when the enemy has an assist as well. It doesn't feel like, and he hasn't got any plates. He's about to get a plate, maybe, but hasn't managed to get any for himself.
Cryine's like taunting him here. You know why he's on the side.
Icon, oh no, he fell for it. He fell for the bait. Here they go, pulls him under tower. Icon gets out though. Cryin could be the target instead. Dodges away from the haymaker. Both junglers influencing. Oh, way! Just gets out with his life. Equalizer onto the wave. They're trying to stop the push, but there's a Herald here for Tarzan if he wants to drop that one. Get an auto in, Icon. You've got to have some presence there to get part of these plates. Should be close enough to just get the gold anyway here. That will be 3 plates that go down in the mid lane. Nicely done by LNG to find yet more advantages.
Yeah, we got the full Ruse Cruise experience there in that mid lane, where Cryin baiting Icon in, but Icon's baiting Cryin in because Tarzan's waiting in the wings now. Obviously, Rift Herald goes down. Nice little bit of gold input towards Icon. He'll be able to finish off that Gale Force very quick as Gala.
Oh, Gala's gone too deep on this one. Flame Chompers are there. Wild Growth comes out immediately. Light dodging away from the Bio-Arcane Barrage here. Gala will walk out with his life. Light already used his ulti in the mid lane and was only just shy of a kill, so can't win the 2v2.
Insanely close trade there. As you said, like, one ultimate from either of those champions hitting would have been bad news for the other, but not quite able to connect with those spells. And now you're going to see that LNG, they're actually looking to move down towards this bottom side. They want to punish the fact that RNG are so low.
I want to try Tarzan on that bottom side as Wei moves up to the top lane. Another equalizer. Wei is just throwing it out on cooldown at this point. He's just like, oh wait, equalizer? That means it's gank o'clock. Just walks to a lane, slams it at him. Let's see if this one works. It's not worked out on this one, but hey, we'll just rinse and repeat in 40 seconds time.
Yeah, you're still going to get Ale who pushes in that wave, so I actually want to see if Ale is going to hold on to his TP here for the next dragon, because you got a minute on that left. You'll get the free reset here from Ale, and it could potentially look to have a 5-man scrap over that mountain dragon, but RNG now starting to group up mid. Want to see if they can get that push in mid and then get full control over river.
Should be able to, because Icon has just gone for the reset himself. Bit of an early reset from LNG, making sure that their solo laners are going to be strong. And, I mean, they've ticked that box, haven't they? Because Icon, he's finished the cull like you said before. Now with the Gale Force in his pocket, Tarzan's moving up towards the top side. They know Wei's not here. And they've got Xiaohu bang to right. Surely his Ignite is available, but remember, he's not running. Flash doesn't look like there's a way out. He's going to try and commit to the plate. Instead, TP comes through from Cryin. Showstopper in onto Ale, who does flash out, but he'll get taken down, cut to pieces by the scissors of Xiaohu.
And it's just LNG trying to make plays around the map where they don't have their strength. We were just saying, hey, look, Xiaohu's burnt that teleport. You want to make a play on the opposite side of the map towards where Xiaohu is. Unfortunately for them, though, they try to make it towards Xiaohu. Cryin gets that TP in, and they're able to make that play work out. Now, RNG getting top tower. Looks like they're going to have pressure as well to go towards this dragon. Like, it's all coming up for RNG off the back of that. But LNG still trying to contest.
Yeah, Lwandy will be able to stop the Drake here. Icon, it might look like his TP was up. It just came up about 5 or so seconds after the play happens on the top side. Wei equalizes the mid wave so that Icon couldn't push, but next wave comes up. Wei was over at Drake. Icon can finish the tower, no equalizer available, and now LNG are the ones that get to go into the Drake instead.
Yeah, we're all trading tip for tap though, right? Top tower goes down first in favor of RNG. They get that first tower gold. They also get they don't quite get the kills, but mid lane tower is answered. Dragon now 1 for 1, and you're seeing that a lot of this is all coming back as Gala.
Ooh, Gala sidestepping the hook. That could be huge as he walks on forward. TP now being trying to flash in, but the wild growth means that it's just Lwandy that goes down. Oh, it was a double TP though. The Ruse Cruise has very much left the dock, Mr. Dagda, as LNG trade 1 for 1.
It's 1 for 1, but Rift Herald top for Wei. So again, RNG are trading effectively here, and they're the ones that are playing the cross map better. So Wei now getting this should be able to help to try and crack open probably the mid lane tower, start to get a little bit more control on the map. Like, this is where RNG again can actually start to stage this comeback. And you can see here, Gala, like, he's in such a good spot. When he has that Gale Force, he's got the Lulu. Like, it's so difficult to deal with this Kog'Maw, especially when you play Lulu Kog. You end up maxing the W first on Lulu, so you get this insane amount of move speed, insane amount of attack speed, and it's so hard to deal with.
He's moved back up to the top side though, and even if that Herald does go the way of RNG, they're trading Herald for a tower, which, when we're beyond plates, is essentially going to be an even trade. Tarzan even gets some bonus wolves out of that exchange and slides away on the Thresh Express. And you're absolutely right. Tit for tat is the name of this game. Let's take another look as Gala. Very nice sidestep.
I mean, Gala played that incredibly well. Right, good sidesteps, the ultimates were hitting well, even managed to get the slow perfectly on towards Light, which meant he could follow up on that play. And Ming, he does peace out at the end of it, realizing, hey, look, sorry, Gala, but there's no point in 2 of us going down. And still, though, like, 2 kills now for Gala. Kill for the Gwen in the top lane. And when we're talking about the late game scaling opportunities for RNG, they're pretty damn strong. So the fact that they're keeping this even is, more of a problem for LNG.
It's a tough one so far for both teams, and it feels like LNG though, like, just take a step back for a second here, Dagda, and just look at this top down from your, if your brain is in 2021 spring mode, when you look at this game, we're 17 minutes in, and it's this close with actually a minor gold lead in favor of LNG against RNG. That's nuts. RNG were basically flawless throughout the regular split in spring, and now LNG are proving that they are a contender, proving that getting Tarzan onto this roster was worth the money. Gala's in trouble, getting away the moonfall does good damage. Light has the rocket available, but Gala managed to sidestep. Doesn't matter though, because Icon is here, and everywhere Gala goes, there's 4 members of LNG waiting.
And this is so strong from LNG, playing through the push they had in bot lane, moving members mid, actually finding the opportunities to make the plays. Ale, though, being chased down by Xiaohu, as Icon's in trouble as well.
Yeah, Icon getting chased out of the jungle. We've got the chase going on the top side of the map. It's pure chaos across the map as the trades continue that we were talking about before. RNG Cryin on the bottom side will be able to get a tower for himself. Tarzan's answering on the top side, though. Xiaohu has overextended for this one. Tarzan doesn't have his ult available, but I don't think it's going to matter all too much. Xiaohu kicked away. The needlework coming in. Xiaohu's actually somehow almost winning this one. Tarzan goes back in. The passive will finish it with an E coming out from Ale.
So we get the kill on the top side, but Cryin gets the turret on the bot. Now LNG will want to try and see if they can crack open that turret top side as RNG answer mid. We are still trading all over this map, Munchables. And now, like Lwandy, here to see if they can defend mid with Icon.
And the pace of this game, Dagda, is absolutely mental. when you consider like the drastic contrast between game 1 of our first series and game 1 of our second series of the day, sorry, and game 1 of our third series of the day, it's insane. But LNG are winning out in gold. They're actually winning these trades ultimately. They're 1 tower up now with Ale taking that one. They've got a 2,000 gold lead for themselves. It is feeling like maybe LNG are getting the better of RNG here.
And especially when you look at the mid lane. Icon now has that Gale Force completed. Essence Reaver completed as well. He is super far ahead. Plus Tarzan, remember we were talking about that build we wanted to see? The Rocket Belt in towards the Zhonya's. He's already got those 2 items completed. He can play that frontline engage, go into Zhonya's to keep himself safe. And we've already seen that, you know, RNG, they're not really able to keep control of all the vision that they need, spotting out where Tarzan was. We saw it against OMG with Cryin as well. If you get a good engage from Tarzan onto Gala, there's so much follow-up from LNG to burst out the Kog'Maw and take away such a large portion of RNG's damage.
Feels like such an incredibly mobile composition from LNG. The only one that isn't mobile on this composition is your Thresh and arguably the Jinx, but once she gets resets, I think she falls into that category pretty quickly. But with even the Thresh, you're bringing the Lantern for other players. Gala trying to trade in the mid lane as Ale threatening off on the bot side, but he might have gone a bit too far here. Cryin trying to close the gap. Grouped as 5 here from RNG. Equalizer still available as they start this Drake off. Ale behind them, kicks him through the team. Sonic Wave in. Ale can't take the Lantern though. Forced to flash to the back of the pit. And will Ward jump back out to safety. But that's going to be Dragon Rage on cooldown. And RNG might just take the Drake off the back of that advantage. LNG still trying to threaten here. Ale recalling does. Oh, he gets the steal. Tarzan manages to steal it. And there's TP available for Ale if they want to go for this fight. In he goes. Move forward onto 3. The rocket is there. The AoE damage is insane. But an equalizer to answer. LNG still coming out. Trumps in this fight as Cryin goes down. Xiaohu doing his damnedest. It's not going to be enough though as Ale will have Sonic Wave. A flash forward for a rocket onto Ming. Light takes down the Lulu. And LNG, they could look at Baron.
It's only just spawned, but they can definitely take it down. A double AD carry composition with the amount of damage coming from Ale and Tarzan. LNG could have just found that fight and found the Baron. They might have cracked open this game, Munchables.
What a performance we are seeing from LNG and Tarzan especially. That moonfall onto 3-4 people in the fight with Light's rocket coming over the top of it as well. They start that fight 4v5 and they still come out on top, Dagda.
Yeah, and this was such a strong performance from them. As you said, like, Tarzan perfectly engaging with this moonfall, but you can see they think they're safe, right? They think, okay, cool, we've totally got this. There's no Lee Sin involved in this fight with the Dragon Rage. Let's aggress forward, but they move into a position where there's nowhere for Gala to roam. He's got no flash available. And even with the Lulu standing on top of him, there's just not enough damage to try and hold him in place. And Xiaohu, he's doing his damnedest on this Gwen. The fact he can kind of 1v3 is a bit insane, but not enough at this moment in time. LNG get the fight, they get the Dragon, they get the Baron, and now they can really start to put pressure on towards RNG. Start to group up as 4, start to use the fact that Light has this insane range on the Jinx to siege up. Start to make it really hard for RNG to clear because they don't have a lot of wave clear in this composition.
And now we have to flip the conversation around, right? Where before we were talking about, you know, LNG, they're just about getting ahead. Maybe they can push RNG a bit. Now they're massively ahead. Now it's down to RNG. What can they do? And when you look at the compositions, how does anyone get onto Light this game? Unless he dramatically mispositions and can't take a Lantern, like, how do you ever get the equalizer to stick to Light? How do you ever get Sett actually onto Light unless he mispositions? It's going to be incredibly difficult. And he's got a Kraken Slayer and a Phantom Dancer. He's going to take over these fights.
And even if you don't get onto Light, right? You still got Icon to worry about as well. Like, this guy's pushing 3 items, nearly got the rapid fire cannon completed. Like, I think I cut out for a second, but he's going to be really large. Icon's going to be huge.
Icon is a big boy, but not big enough because Gala just flashes forward and takes him down himself. Gala taking things into his own hands here. Equalizer onto Tarzan and Cryin is there to follow up. Lantern comes on out, but it should be blocked here. Xiaohu managed to stop that one. In goes the moonfall though, and the turnaround from LNG is unbelievable. Somehow Tarzan survives and finally goes down, but Light still going strong here. Ale on the backline to finish off Ming. The rocket's coming on through. 1 or 2 more autos to do the trick as Cryin. Haymaker to keep himself alive. Xiaohu in trouble. Gala in trouble as well because we've got a Lee Sin on the backline trying to get energy LNG didn't have enough for the Sonic Wave, but he's got enough to set Lion up for the double kill. And LNG, they will not be out Team Fort. Gala does what he can, but what he can just ain't anything.
Tarzan is a monster in these fights. The fact he has consistently found that moonfall onto the key members on RNG, with all the follow-up from LNG coming through. And now, at 24 minutes into the game, they've cracked open the base. There's a minute and a half until the next dragon, which will put LNG onto sole point. RNG, they have their backs against the wall. Yes, they have the late game scaling, but it's not coming quick enough.
LNG, maybe it's possible, and you know, Gala tries to make it happen, but using your flash aggressively as Kog'maw, inevitably they're gonna close the gap onto you for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, and this is it. Like, Tarzan here, this is an insane engage. Manages to pick off Wei, puts Ming onto very much the back foot where Ale is able to zone him off, so Gala's not getting a huge amount of the resets and everything else, that, or at least the assistance that he needs. And watch this hook at the end from Lwandy. Xiaohu tries to dash away from this fight. Lwandy predicts it. Smack bang into the face of Xiaohu. Great play coming through from LNG support.
And you gotta believe that Wei right now in comms is pretty mad at Cryin, because the showstopper to bring the Diana closer and then the moonfall onto both Gala and Wei. I think it was Ming as well. Like, that's a bit of a tilter for the side of RNG. Cryin was the engage tool for LNG. Cryin is the reason they could turn that fight around. So now you've got to wonder what the RNG have been tank. They're 8,000 gold down. This is feeling almost impossible at this point. And guess what? We're about to see LNG onto Ocean Soul point as well. Like, it feels like the advantages are just stacking upon themselves.
And honestly, this is kind of what people were hoping for. Like, when Tarzan came across, we were like, okay, cool. This is a team that we want to see do well. But to be able to beat FPX, beat JDG, having RNG against the ropes, LNG look like a team that's here to stay and want to make it to that World Championship.
And you know what, Dagda, I have to come clean here as LNG take yet another tower. Like, I was definitely one of the naysayers for this team. I was saying this was going to be this splits RA, how they were going to be hyped up in the short term, but fall down later on. Right now, though, putting RNG through their paces, being this far ahead against the squad, I don't think that we can quite say LNG are going to be definitely a top team, definitely topping up playoffs at this point. They still need to prove themselves, but if they can win a series against RNG, that would certainly be a mark, and they would maintain their position. They would guarantee a sole possession of first place in the standings. And I want to just take a second, Dagda. I don't know if I'll have a second, because we are posturing like there might be a fight here. Ale is playing insane. When you think back to this guy being natural on DMO, being in Elo hell on that team, and still managing to make some plays happen, and now he's playing so exceptional.
Yeah. But I mean, look, at what point do we call a spade a spade? Like, LNG, you beat JDG, you've beaten FPX. Oh, hang on, Xiaohu?
Xiaohu could be in trouble. That's going to be his W on cooldown. Another huge ult from Tarzan as he vine swings into the enemy team. That's going to be Cryin and Wei down. Xiaohu kicked away by Ale, who can regroup with the rest of his team. Icon did fall, though, so LNG do have to play a little cautious. They will back away. Pings on towards the Baron. Sure, they can't go for the inhib right now, but a Baron, that's a decent consolation prize.
Definitely. I mean, you'd be very happy with that one again. Now they can start to put the pressure on, but like, there's not even that many turrets left standing, right? There's only the top lane outer turret left remaining. LNG can pretty quickly move up towards that one. RNG, though, looking to contest on towards Baron. Cryin will have TP to join.
Lwandy's just wondering how Gwen got through testing, because his hook went right through right there. As the Baron down to 1,000. There's only a smite on one side, so it's an easy pickup for LNG. And now the fight as Gala is kicked into the middle of everyone. Ale making himself worth his paycheck right here, as that was just a beautiful setup. Lights over the wall, safe and sound. Dagda, I think that might be game.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds before anyone really comes up on RNG. LNG are TPing in. They're looking for the end right now.
Light nearly going down to the equalizer there, but he's got a bit of life steal in his runes. He'll be okay as he clears the wave and now pushes up this mid lane. 4 men strong as Icon, making his way over as well. Death Timer still taking away a Moonfall onto a single member. The Zhonya's is going to do something, but not enough as the death sentence comes through and turns itself into a death paragraph at this stage. Lwandy looking amazing. The towers will fall, and LNG take themselves a 1-0 advantage over RNG.
And what a way to do it. Again, LNG come out trading really well around the map, making sure that they're keeping tit for tat with RNG the entire way through the early stages. And then we get to those mid-game fights and Tarzan just pops off. This Diana pick doing so much work, and like we talked about how, at least at the start of the split, like I was like, I don't know why we aren't seeing as much Diana. Like, she's such a strong pick. She can be this great engager, and Tarzan showing why we should be seeing more of this champion.
Really, really exceptional performance coming out from Tarzan especially. But honestly, the whole team, you can't fault a single member on LNG in that game. And against a team like RNG, who, when you look at tournaments like MSI, when you look at playoffs as well, one of the strongest things about RNG was that in the top lane, Xiaohu almost always winning the lane. In the bottom lane, Ming and Gala 2v2. Like, we were all talking about LWX and Crisp last split. And then in the finals, it's Gala and Ming that come out on that 2v2. But not happening today. That was not the case at all. LNG managing to play exceptionally across the board, mechanically out of their mind. But also the trades, like, that was a high octane early game where we didn't even have that many kills. But the amount of trading across the map. LNG, I don't know who's shot calling for this team, but whoever they are, props to him.
Yeah, that was a muscle power. This early game was all about the brain power. It was making sure that you were able to figure out, hey, look, if RNG are going to be going for this, how do we trade up and how do we trade effectively? And at the start, it was going very, very even. We saw like that slim gold lead, maybe 300 gold that was there for LNG. But slowly but surely, that became 1,000, 2,000, and by like the 18 to 20 minute mark, we're looking at a 3,000 gold lead for LNG, and a large portion of that was like Icon having full dominance in that mid lane, like picking up the coal, getting himself super far ahead, and actually finding these plays where Tarzan linking up with Icon to make sure they could get the mid lane turret and start to snowball these effects so damn well.
Yeah, really exceptional, and RNG now have to go back to the drawing board a little bit. They were on the red side of this draft. The Kog'maw Lulu not really working out, having a bit of a struggle, let's be honest, to try and protect Gala in some of these fights. And he did a good amount of damage, but I have to say, out of the 23,000 damage he did, I'd say at least 3,000 damage of that was from his passive.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was trying his best. The problem was that he was kind of the only one that was in a position to actually do anything, right? Xiaohu still needed more items, Cryin wasn't in a position to really be a damage dealer. Wei as well, although we saw this super heavy farm clear from him, where he was kind of like teetering back towards the top side, right as his camp's responding because he skipped his red. It looked nice, but it meant that Tarzan actually just got free reign in the early stages to get LNG to the state. So I think there was a lot there from RNG where they just kind of misread what LNG were going to be doing. And again, these mid-game team fights kind of letting them down. We saw the same against OMG where they just weren't ready for these assassins getting into the back line, bypassing the front line. And when it gets to that point, it just seems like chaos in the RNG comms.
It really does. It feels like LNG just putting so much pressure onto RNG, and RNG feeling like they're not sure how to respond to that one, at least in game number 1, but there's time to fix things. They can go back to the drawing board, change their strategy, and come back strong in game number 2. We'll have to see how they change things up, though, right after the break.